just like I've done this for other programming languages in my playlists, I wanted to talk about the reasons why you would like to learn JavaScript. So, JavaScript is the programming language of the web, right? So the big three things of the web are going to be HTML, hypertext markup language, CSS, cascading style sheets, and JavaScript, which we know, or you will know soon enough if you don't already, that we can do JavaScript on the front end and we can do JavaScript on the back end with Node.js. So this is to say why it's so important to know JavaScript, because if you're going to be doing web development specifically, you're going to need to know a little bit of JavaScript. Well, a lot really, but what I mean to say is that you should know more than just JavaScript, right? You got to know HTML, JavaScript, CSS, and a whole bunch of other things, but JavaScript is the common denominator in my view. So this is why it's so important to learn JavaScript, in my opinion. So, opened up here on my screen, I have the TOB index, just to show you that yes, Python is number one usually is like top 5 anyway. Java, C, JavaScript, here's it's number 6, but don't go so much by what's the most popular here on the list per se. I would just say that, hey, look at the top 10, and if you have a couple of these or a handful of these languages under your tool belt, you know, that's a good thing. You should know more rather than less. And if you have 2 or 3 or 4 on your tool belt, that is great. JavaScript is one of those that I recommend. Why? Because a lot of what we do, at least I should speak for myself, a lot of what I do involves the web. And when it involves the web, we get to interact and use and leverage JavaScript. And there's a lot here. There's TypeScript, which is a subset of JavaScript, or superset rather. So there's more here, but this is only the beginning. This is scratching the surface, and JavaScript is a very important language. I can't emphasize that enough if you're doing web development. So with that being said, if you wanted to dig in a little bit more into, you know, what does that mean? What are some of the things that should be learning in JavaScript? What are some of the frameworks? What are some of the libraries? Well, yes, you can take my word, and we can take Tyobe's index here for just overall noting that JavaScript is pretty important. But let's go over to this site here, which is the State of JavaScript 2022. Now, as I'm doing this video, the 2023 version of this should be out soon. In fact, the 2023 should be out in, I don't know, I want to say in weeks from now anyway. So just keep an eye out for this. But as I'm recording this video, which is December 2023, we know that 2023 will be coming up soon. But this is just to give you a glance as to what you could do to do your own research, right? And this is a great resource for that. So this is an introduction here. Not that this intro is so important, but what is important is if you click through these and you start clicking at some of these tabs, you'll see some of this data coming through, like the yearly income. So less than 1 year, 1 to 2 years, what do you expect to make, right? Between 10 and 30K, 30 and 50, 50K and 100K, more than 200. You can kind of see what's happening. You can kind of see that 28% are making 50 to 100, 19% are making from 100 to 200, 4% are making more than $200,000 a year, and that type of thing. So a lot of this info is pretty interesting and very cool, and you can see where the people reside. Most of the people here seems to be the United States, and you can see Germany second, France is third, and so on and so forth. Very, very interesting. The language, English is number 1, French is second, German is third, You can kind of still go through this and see who completed it, the survey, and whatnot. You can go based on age. 36.5% are between 25 years old and 34 years old. That type of thing. Years of experience. This is kind of cool too, just to give you some info. 22.1% have between 3 and 5 years of experience. And 11 to 20 years, well, that's 14.7%. Tells you a little bit about company size, how many people have a higher ed degree, yearly income. Here again, you can see based on the people that replied to the survey, most people don't have an answer, right? 27.4, they didn't answer. But after that, most people, well, 20%, 20.6 fall within 50K and 100K. These are the sources of the survey. State of the JavaScript is 39.8%, and there's all these different sources here. The gender, 70% are men. Race and ethnicity, very, very interesting stuff. Disability, recommended resources, and you can kind of still go from here. There's more here, but you can start seeing what are some of the features that are used, right, in terms of WebAssembly and knowledge score. How many did they know? How many features did they know about? What about the language, right? In terms of proxies and promises and dynamic imports, private fields, nullish, coalescing, numeric separators. You can go through these. I'm going to just highlight some of the important things which I find interesting. And they're going to be some of these, like these are the browser APIs. What are people using? Web animation, WebSockets, that type of thing. Sorry for going too fast on this. I kind of want to highlight some of the other ones. So, for example, progressive web apps, WebAssembly. These are some of the cool things, I think, in my book anyway. I'm always kind of paying attention to what are people using in terms of libraries and frameworks. You can see React and Jest and Webpack. These are some of the top ones, and there's Angular here and that type of thing. So React is still number one, it seems like. But you could see some of the libraries here as well. What are people using? Cypress for testing and Jest for testing. And anyway, there's a whole bunch of things here. And that's one of the things we want to look for when we're either determining to, learn a new framework or even a language. Hey, is there a good community? Is there a good documentation? Is there a good momentum on this thing? Are fixes being applied, or is this somebody just doing some project on their basement part time, and the last time it was upgraded or updated has been like 3 years from today, and that may not be a good sign, right? So a lot of things to be strategic and think about what you want to learn and how. And anyway, this is pretty cool. I recommend everybody to go through this. I'm not going to go one by one, but I do want to just show you that this is really interesting. Like React, look at React, 92.6%. It's well worth learning and knowing it. It's not going away anytime soon. Vue.js seems to be right on the top as well. And you can see that's from 2016, and it goes all the way up to 2022. And you can see that React is still top 3, I would say, right? And there's some other newcomers here, but again, it's up to you to determine what's worth it for you in your time and your opportunity. So definitely go through here and take your time. I think it's super interesting to kind of keep a pulse as to what's happening in this ecosystem. This is specifically relevant if you're doing web development, because this is something that you always have to kind of keep an eye out for, right? Like, am I keeping in touch with the trends, with the latest and greatest, and not just because somebody else is learning them, but what does the industry say? What do the numbers say? Is this worthwhile? Is this not worthwhile? Am I becoming stale, or am I really keeping up with the pace? So anyway, really, really interesting. I really recommend that you take a look at this. and continue just kind of keeping an eye on things. But overall, this video is just about talking about, you know, some of the reasons why you would like to or you should learn JavaScript in 2023, 2024, and moving forward. Things always change, but it seems still that JavaScript is, again, the programming language of the web, right? And we know WebAssembly is here, and there's some things happening there, but overall, this is a language that you would be exposed to, and why not learn it and know the ins and outs. And so this is what this playlist in my YouTube channel is going to be all about. Anyway, the JavaScript playlist will be about learning JavaScript, and we go from the first videos learning the basics, and we'll continue adding some complexity, and we'll go from there, right? So keep an eye out for that, and just to kind of highlight some of the latest or last things here, the testing frameworks. You know, what are the popular ones? What are the ones that are gaining momentum or losing momentum? Again, you can kind of see all that here. Experience over time, positive and negatives. Let's see, mobile and desktop. What are people doing to do both, right? Native apps and web apps, right? And just do one code base, but basically be able to deploy them to different platforms or different, you know, mobile systems, mobile software systems, right? So all that to say that this is very, very useful. Take a look here. Build tools. What are people using? Again, there's a lot of stuff here. This is just I just want to make sure I'm not missing anything that that I should be. So I'm just going to highlight this quickly before ending the video, but very, very useful. In terms of libraries, Lodash is still number one. Keep an eye out for that. Date management, like Moment.js, is still number one. So there's others, but at least you can kind of take a look and see what's happening. Chart.js, number one for data visualization, right? And D3, high charts, all these are probably the top three. Data fetching, Axios, right? Apollo client for GraphQL. There's a lot of stuff here in the whole web dev realm, right? There's a lot of moving pieces, but JavaScript is the programming language, but there's a lot of other things that we get to learn, and we should learn and at least be aware of them. And Express, right? Dealing with backend frameworks. Nest. I'm surprised I don't see Next.js here, but this is 2022. It should have been here, but we'll see. What else? AWS, TypeScript being number one. Definitely worthwhile to learn. That's probably going to be another playlist within my channel, but Python is, look at this, is other programming languages that we use that are non-JavaScript. Well, Python's number one, so take a look at my Python playlist, actually, and that would get you a good foundation, I think, in my opinion. PHP is number two, and Java is third. So I will have a Java one, and I'll be creating that soon. There's a lot of stuff to be said about that. If you already know me, you know my top three languages are Python, JavaScript, and Java. So those three playlists are definitely worthwhile to see and get a foundation on. Those are my big three anyway. Next, JavaScript, TypeScript balance. 65.3% are using JavaScript professionally. You could tell that a big chunk is for front end, a little bit lower than that is for back end. Mobile apps even smaller than that, and desktop apps smaller than that. For data visualizing, a little bit shorter, smaller than that, and so on and so forth. But again, definitely interesting to poke around and see some information based on that. SPAs, we know JavaScript kind of rules that world, right? Single page apps, making it, the perceived speed of the applications just are like a big thumbs up, and really enhancing the user experience. So again, how are people learning? There's a lot of wealth of information here. I recommend, again, everybody to take a look through here. But there's some podcasts. This is really, really cool. If you want to keep in touch with what's the latest and greatest, what's happening, what are the news about the industry in terms of JavaScript and these programming languages and tools and libraries that we're talking about here. Really, really cool. And so with that being said, I think I'm going to leave it here. I just want to show you that this is a great resource, State of JavaScript. 2023 will be coming up soon. That's the reason why I think it's still relevant to learn JavaScript. A lot of what we do deals with JavaScript, regardless of the back-end framework, right? We can have a back-end framework, which is Python or Java or JavaScript, right, with Node.js or Ruby or C# or, you name it. But the thing is, JavaScript still takes a little bit of that world as well, because on the front end, we'll have to deal with JavaScript anyway. So I'll end it here. I hope this was helpful.